You are listening to a One Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast that tells the stories of craft beer in Minnesota and beyond. So kick back, relax, and grab a cold one. The show starts now. Hello, my name is Dan Bobian, and I write, produce, and host a One Pint Stand. I'm ecstatic that you're listening. This episode of a One Pint Stand is proudly sponsored by Arbeiter Brewing Company, a multicultural-owned brewery and taproom in South Minneapolis, cultivating a welcoming and safe environment for our diverse community and craft beer enthusiasts. On this episode of a One Pint Stand, I had some of my favorite beer friends, Josh Denny, Cable Lefto, and Mahad Mohammed, join me for a live show that we recorded on November 22nd at Heavy Rotation Brewing in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We talked about the collaboration beer I brewed called Minnesota Hug. It's a 9% Belgian Dark Strong Ale, and it's on tap right now, so make sure you head up there and give it a try. Heavy Rotation's brewer, Josh, created a fantastic recipe, and the beer turned out exactly as we wanted. It's a 9% sipper with lots of dark fruit and roasted malt character. The namesake of this beer is a take on the Kentucky Hug, which is the warming sensation you feel in your chest after a nice sip of Kentucky bourbon as it warms you up. So Minnesota Hug is a beer that will also warm you up, literally, it's 9%, but also the kind of like the concept of, wintertime in Minnesota, it gets butt cold outside, you want to hunker down with some friends, get a big, nice, flavorful beer, and just sit around and enjoy each other's company. That's kind of the ethos of the beer, and that's why we call it Minnesota Hug. So it's multi-dimensional, multi-layered. So let's head out to Heavy Rotation Brewing for the Minnesota Hug live show. Cheers. My name is Dan Bobian, and I write, produce, and host a One Pint Stand. And I am being joined by several of my favorite people to talk beer with and just talk about life in general. Many times you can find us on a beach in the summer just questioning life and talking about if you could be a songbird, which songbird would you be? So we've had many conversations about beer and some conversations about not beer. So this is a on-location live recording of a One Pint Stand. So before we get into it, I'm going to have my esteemed buddies up here. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Fellas, why don't you say your name, say how you met me, because I always get that confused in my head because I'm 46 and the cheese is definitely falling off the cracker. And then say your favorite cold weather activity.
My name's Josh. I don't remember how we met. I'm sure it was at a beer event or brewery.
He kind of does that to you. He just floats into your life.
Yeah.
Wrong. It was a quilting bee in Minnetonka. 7 years ago, I was dressed up as the late, great B. Arthur, and you're like, are you one of the Golden Girls? And
that's why I blacked it out. Makes sense. Favorite wintertime activity? Snowboarding. Nice. And ice fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Or ice drinking, I guess.
Ice drinking, yeah. It's pretty good when, even if the fish aren't biting, the beer is cold.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have one of those clams or an ice house, or you just go out? Do you just raw dog it on the ice?
I don't have anything. I have a brother.
Okay.
So he has ice castle and all the gear, and we just sit inside and keep the keg outside nice and cold. And,
that's glorious.
Yeah. Just stay in our pajamas the whole time, and it's perfect.
Nice. That's great. Next up.
My name is Mahad Mohammed. We have definitely met on a beach somewhere. I can't remember what we were wearing, though. I don't know.
It was Duluth, January 21st.
That's what it was.
1994.
We were both drinking, and
you
I think we went
mistook
in the
me
water.
for a out-of-shape sturgeon, and the rest is history. It was love at first bite.
That's what it was. The memory's coming back to me.
Yep.
Dan and I, we've met at some beer event as well. Might have been one of the beer dabblers. I'm trying to remember.
I think it was the summer beer
beer
dabbler.
dabbler. Yeah. And the rest is history.
And yes, it is.
Yeah. You're one of my favorite people to still hang out with. So
That's awesome.
still,
Hey,
yeah.
I made it through.
There you go.
I made it through. Likewise,
Yep.
right back at you.
Yeah. Favorite cold activity, probably, I'd say hiking. Still one of my favorites. I haven't gotten into ice fishing yet, but I definitely want to. So I'll definitely hit up Josh one of these days during the winter.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went ice fishing, I thought it was going to be like some sort of big, huge outward bound experience. And I go to my friend's house and we drive out to the like middle of White Bear Lake, and he busts out this like tent, and he's got like a little like gas stove in there. We heated up some cocktail weenies, and like he had a 24 pack of beer, and we just sat there, and he set a bunch of tip ups. And I'm like, okay, so now what do we do? He's like, no, just this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
cold weather
I think
bottom
I'm gonna like ice fishing. So that was good. The mustachioed fellow at the end.
Me?
You.
I forgot I had a mustache for a minute.
That's right.
So I'm Cable Lefto. I did not meet Dan at a beer event. Surprisingly. Although it was still involving beer. I was serving you at Urban Growler when I was still serving
that's
and
right.
bartending there. And then you knew Liz.
Yep.
And she formally introduced us. And then we just were friends.
Well, I want to thank the three of you for being here. The whole reason, well, one of the many reasons we're here, just because, there's a pretty good chance that I'd wind up at a brewery on a Saturday anyway.
I'm always the one who gets shorted on the last part of the question on your podcast.
Crap. I'm sorry.
Every podcast where you ask questions, you always forget to let me answer the end.
All right, go ahead. Tell us what your favorite winter activity is. And if you say you don't have one, I'm going to jump across here and strangle you with this microphone.
I'm not trying to derail the podcast this fast this time. No, I like writing music and drinking beer. Like it seems like I like doing those things all the time, but there's something about doing it in the winter that's really cozy.
Yeah. Nice. My favorite wintertime activity is easily just like hanging out, doing this. Just like hanging out with somebody. I'm not a hiker. Although I do like, I guess the winteriest thing I've ever done is hunt for the St. Paul Winter Carnival medallion. And I've like been out with a headlamp at like 2 a.m. in the middle of Como Park because I read some clue wrong, and I'm like, where do you suppose everybody else is?
Down in the caves.
Yeah, down in the caves, like, ugh. Finding all the other people.
Also, your holiday party.
Oh, the holiday party,
Great
yes.
winter activity.
That's a good, that is a good, that combines all sorts of fun stuff. Chili, beer. Yeah, that's coming up, by the way. December 20th.
Don't forget the part where I sneak into your little cellar and look at all your bottles and ask which ones I can open.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in there. Well, speaking of fun stuff to drink beer-wise, we're here because Josh and I brewed a beer together. This beer is called Minnesota Hug, and it is a Belgian dark strong. And for a long while, I've been wanting to start kind of doing some collaboration beers with breweries that I really like, with people I really like at breweries. And I think we started talking about it probably last spring or early summer, kicking the idea. I ran into Ken one day at Haggard Barrel. This was shortly after the Minnesota Brewers Cup Awards. And I was like, hey, has Josh talked to you about a possible collab? He's like, yeah, he mentioned it. It sounds pretty interesting. So we kind of started talking about different beer styles to do. And I know one of the things I like about Heavy Rotation, by the way, we're podcasting live here at the tap room at Heavy Rotation Brewing Company in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. And one thing I love about this place is that you have such a wide variety of styles. And so I'm like, one of the draws was like, well, I know he's probably not going to say no to anything too crazy. Whereas if you were going to do a place where they've got 5 IPAs, 4 sours, and 5 pastry stouts, that kind of limits our options. So I was like, what should we do? And you had the great idea because you were like, well, I know you love Great Lakes Christmas Ale, which is a wintertime beer with kind of ginger, honey, spices. He's like, what do you think about a Belgian dark strong that has a lot of those similar flavors? And I thought that sounded really great. Now, what I was surprised to hear is that you've never brewed a Belgian Dark Strong at Heavy.
Yeah, not yet. Not a dark strong. We just recently did a Belgian double, so that made it really easy to transition to a dark strong after kind of getting that yeast strain going.
Yeah.
But I've previously done a Belgian golden strong.
Okay.
So it was, like you said, interesting to go to the different avenue and do a dark.
Yeah, and I think that Belgian beers are difficult to brew. I think that they're not always the most approachable beer style for people to just like walk into. And especially when they're not brewed well, they can be a real turnoff. You brewed a Belgian double, a Belgian golden strong.
Yep.
What were the receptions to those beers when you've had them? Did people kind of enjoy them?
Yeah, absolutely. The nice thing about our location, it seems a lot of our patrons do enjoy the more traditional beers. They do.
God bless you all.
They like the sessionable beers, lower ABVs, classic styles, and kind of introducing them to these older styles that they might never have had. It makes it a fun process as well, where they get a little education and try something they've never tried before or might never get a chance to try.
Yeah.
Well, I would think, not to cut off, but part of it is also you have to have a willing person in a lot of sense, right? From a brewer standpoint, if you're only interested in what sells, which is very important, obviously, to the business after all, but understanding your clientele is a huge part of that, and also someone that's willing to be able to venture into doing something that he's never done. And you've been brewing for a long time, and the fact that you haven't done, like you said, a Belgian Strong in your career, and you've chosen to do it, and it is, if I can curse, this is fucking good, by the way.
It's very delicious.
Really good fucking beer.
Yeah,
Mahad
this
did
turned
it
out.
first. Mahad did it first.
That's right. Next time we'll say earmuffs.
Did it?
So one thing I should mention is like Josh isn't the only brewer up here on the stage. All three of you have worked in this industry for a long time. Cable, have you ever brewed a Belgian Dark Strong or Belgian beer in general?
I worked for Lakes and Legends.
Oh yeah, that's right. So that would be a yes.
2 of our flagships were Belgian beers.
That's right.
It's even in the notes.
Oh yeah. That's okay. It's everything's fine. It's like
Needless to say, yes, I've brewed my fair share of Belgian beers.
this is the best podcast ever.
Can people out there hear the sound effects?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
You
cool.
hear the Price is
You were
Wrong
pressing
horn?
buttons earlier, and there was
we're gonna-
nothing happening, and so I was like,
I was texting. What are the challenging things about brewing Belgian beers? And maybe selling Belgian beers too. What was your experience with it?
I mean, so from a brewing standpoint, a lot of it was just like figuring out, like there is how to do it traditionally, then there's doing it in a way, or like making the beer in a way that will actually sell to people who maybe don't fully understand what a Belgian beer should taste like or what a Belgian beer is.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of styles, you get into the like yeast becomes really important, and the way you use the yeast and how you pitch it and how you take care of it. A lot of Belgian beers, like Hefeweizens, are a really good example.
Yep.
You almost always, like, if you want to get a real traditional, like, kind of banana clove flavor out of it, you want to underpitch your yeast, because that's going to make it work just a little bit more and get more of those yeast esters out of it. But a lot of people don't understand that. So
Right.
like it's like little minute details, honestly. Using proper hops.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put anything in a saison and call it a saison, but
And a lot of people
times
do.
if you're not using noble German hops, like what you're not really making a saison, you're making a saison like beer.
Well, and I think that's a style that a lot of people take some pretty bold liberties with. It's almost like what, and so maybe that's a good question. Like, is the reason why Belgian beers are not so much more widely known about because people don't stick to kind of like the Reinheitsgebot-ish kind of thought process about brewing Belgians? Because I know for a long time, Liftbridge had Farm Girl. They called it a saison. That was not a saison.
Yep.
But like, if everybody is like coming into craft beer in the mid 20 teens and they're like, oh, I guess I like saisons, and then they have a Saison DuPont, They're like, "Ugh, what is this sorcery?"
What's
I'm like, well,
wrong
that's a
with them?
saison. Hey, they really screwed this up.
DuPont is one of the best beers.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if there's any one saison that I would point somebody to really understand it, that's the one. The problem is
beer.
finding
Champagne.
a fresh one is pretty tricky.
True that.
I think that's also probably a reason why they're difficult to do. One of the things, and we're going to really get into the brewing process of this beer a lot more in a little bit, but that was one of my biggest questions, Josh, was like, how do you treat the yeast? How do you maintain the yeast for this? Because I know that's probably one of the most finicky things that if you don't understand it, it can be really tricky. Talk me through the process of when you know you're brewing a Belgian beer. What do you need to? What are your kind of like steps that you need to go through when it comes to the yeast?
With this beer, like you said, it was its third generation. So we did the Belgian Blonde, then a Double, and then the Belgian Dark Strong. So I wanted to build the yeast up a little bit before we brewed such a strong beer, being 9%. And then we did underpitch slightly, but we also fermented at a warmer temperature to push those pepper and clove and kind of those more allspice kind of notes to come out.
Yeah.
But what also helped with fermentation is we added a lot of dark Belgian candy sugar, and that added to a lot of those dark fruit flavors that the beer has as well.
Okay.
But with this one, we more so focused on that fermentation temperature to kind of help push those yeast flavors, which also getting back to is, I think, what can be a turnoff for some people who aren't experienced beer drinkers, where you get those kind of weird, funky Belgian kind of yeast notes that they're not used to and they're not into it.
Well, and I also think like sometimes if you look on like a BJCP like style guideline, a lot of the descriptors for like Belgian beers are like, you know, one of the things that comes up a lot is like horse blanket.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I haven't been to IKEA in a while, so maybe they started selling these, but like if you don't sleep in a barn or own a horse, how the hell are you supposed to know what horse blanket is like? So I also think there's like
Have you ever been to the state fair?
Yeah, but remember I got kicked by a cow, so that's a
Short-term mememory. I forgot.
Maybe that's why. Yeah, so I avoid the livestock barns like the plague because it's too soon. But you know, some of those esters and things that kick off these flavors, that it's like, okay, if I'm trying to understand what this is, but I have no reference point, that can also be a tricky kind of entry level into it.
Well, and there's also something to just like us as breweries not maybe presenting that information to the public properly, because like a lot of people also just don't know what how a lot of Belgian beers were brewed originally. Like horse blanket comes up because a lot of these beers were open fermented in areas where there were just wild horses roaming and things. Yeah. So whatever was in the air,
yeast,
that wild yeast, whatever was in the air is what's getting in the beer and helping create that flavor and aroma and everything. So like horse blanket, pretty apt.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I want to kind of go back to something you said, Josh, because you said you started working with that yeast for a much smaller beer. Mm-hmm. What's the thought process and logic behind that?
Cost mostly.
Okay.
We're able to buy a smaller pitch and build it up as the yeast eats the sugar. It gets larger. We're able to harvest more each batch, and then that way, when we do settle on doing a big 9% beer, we have a big batch of healthy yeast that we can kind of decide how much we actually want to give the beer, rather than worrying about it fermenting, stalling out, and left with a highly residually like sugar beer where it's got a cloying sweetness, which isn't really good for the style.
Yeah.
You taste a lot of like big Belgian American like made beers, and it doesn't reflect what is made in Belgium.
Yeah. Now that's actually a good way to go for, especially when you're making a big beer like that, like you said. And if it's new, it's off the box, you want to get a few generations in and then go from there. Because you want to know that it is viable at the end of the day as well. So.
And that's so
9%
interesting.
Beers aren't cheap to make either, so if it craps out, you're kind of SOL.
Yeah. Well, so that's a perfect segue into now. If you don't have the Minnesota Hug in front of you, head up to the bar and get a little pour. You can get a 5-ounce pour. It is 9%, so if you're auditioning for the Ice Capades later, you might want to go smaller. I'm not. I already got my denial letter, so I grabbed a full pour.
Did you even audition before you got the denial?
Oh, yeah. There was an issue my Spanx gave out, and it was a bad scene. So we've got the Minnesota Hug. So what should people be smelling? So when you try a beer for the first time, I always like to go in for the old, I call it the drive-by sniff, which gets your mind out of the gutter. So you kind of go like this. You go kind of like a slow ride on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, okay. And this is going to sound weird, but your right and left nostrils pick up different aromas. Also, if you're putting your... yeah, get right in there. Rick Dodora, who many of you know, when I was in Milwaukee for the 2017 Beer Writers and Bloggers Conference, we were doing we were tasting a beer. We were being talked through how to taste beer by Randy Mosher, who coincidentally wrote the book called Tasting Beer. And he's telling us about that. And he said, your right and left nostrils are different. And Rick was like loud enough for like 150 people in the auditorium to hear. He's like, oh, that explains it. I got a bum nostril. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, I guess his left nostril isn't as strong as his right nostril, which is really funny because Rick is a very talented cook. And so like I would never assume that any of his nostrils weren't working the way they should, but shout out to Rico Suave, as I call him. So you kind of go, give it a little, and you can do like a one big long, or you can do, I call the rapid fire, the bunny rabbit. You really
did not like you doing that in the headphones.
Sorry. You mean... We're going to turn this into... If the beer podcast doesn't work out, we'll turn this into an ASMR podcast, and then the money will just roll in. And so you kind of do a little, like some staccato sniffs, and you're kind of going to get different things. Also, if you sniff in the middle of the glass or the edge of the glass, you'll notice different smells. So that's just like one big thing about tasting beer is like the olfactory experience, what you're smelling. So what should people be smelling in this beer?
What I get I get a little bit of warmth from the alcohol, little breadiness, toastiness, raisin, like a dried cherry, and like plum or date.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those dark fruit character.
Yeah. I like that. Maybe I'm assuming, which I do a lot, but I would assume that alcohol would be hard to detect as a smell.
I think I don't know. Maybe not for me.
Yeah.
I smell beer like every day.
That's true.
But it has like
what a life. What a oh my gosh.
It's one of those things where as you get more comfortable with it, you start to pick up.
Yeah.
Because like I can safely say 8 years ago when I started really getting into this journey, like I would not pick up on anything you just said. I would go, it smells like beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do get a lot of those like fruit flavors. I love the raisin. I love the date, the plum. Kind of just like, and I don't know, I associate those with like deep, kind of robust flavors.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a reflection of those Belgian candy sugars we put into the beer that we talked about.
Yeah.
But also we did do Belgian pale malt, Belgian aromatic malt, Belgian biscuit, Munich malt, and a touch of Special B. And the Special B adds a lot of that kind of plum raisin kind of edges to the beer.
Yeah. Special B. So that's one of the books I read once, written by the godfather of homebrew, Charlie Papazian. Apparently, he would put just a handful of Special B in every beer that he brewed, no matter what.
I don't know about
Also,
that.
Special B was my DJ name back in the day. Worked a lot of... Yeah, which I'm like, isn't it a pretty dark, distinct
and
thing?
Here's
very
my
divisive, too.
Here's my American Light Lager. It tastes like plum.
Plum Light for when you're at the ball game on a 97-degree day. Flavor-wise, one thing I like about this beer is I think there's also a lot going on. I get some fruit. Mm-hmm. I also get like a little hint, and one of the descriptors I use a lot in a maltier beer is like leathery. or kind of molassesy or a little bit of dark chocolate. There's like that kind of depth of, and I'm assuming that comes from malt. It's a really nice harmony between the fruit and kind of like those more what I call base flavors. They give the beer that little oomph. Also, the finish on this is really dry.
Yep.
Does that come back to the A, healthy yeast, and B, all the Belgian candy sugar that went in there?
Yep. And we didn't do a super high mash temp either. It was only 152, so it's kind of middle of the range. But absolutely, that sugar gives that yeast something to latch onto early, get it ripping through the beer, and finish drier.
Okay,
for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that candied sugar in a lot of ways, but it's also dry and not sweet at all.
Right.
which is perfect.
Around where did it finish? Like what Play-Doh?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I didn't
fair.
write that down. But it was less than 10% of the grist was the Belgian candy sugar, so it wasn't that much. It was like 5 or 6%.
a little goes a long way.
Yeah.
What would have happened if we would have put like maybe 15% more in there? What would that do to the beer?
Of the sugar, it would have gave it a lot more alcohol burn.
Okay.
And probably maybe some off flavors from the yeast as well.
Sure.
Ruined it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously like, and there were several different types, right? Or different kinds. Do you want to talk us through that?
Yeah, we did 3 different varieties of it. We did a 90, a 120, and a 180, I believe. So they each.
And what do
had-
those numbers?
It's just the darkness.
Is it the Lovabond?
The level that it was caramelized.
Okay.
And I just thought it would add more depth to the beer.
Yeah.
They were all the same price, so I said, hell with it, let's try it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I'm really glad you
Very
did.
scientific,
It
yeah.
turned out really well. So when we brewed, Mahad was here for the brew day. Josh, obviously,
I was here taking all the photos.
he was taking all
I
the
didn't do anything
photos
else.
Taking
and
Charles' job.
verbal encouragement. He was being very encouraging. He's like, no, don't put that in yet. I was sitting there with a box of Rice Krispies, like, when do we add the cereal? So luckily, they didn't let me ruin the beer. They just, but it was really interesting. So you said you've never brewed a beer this style before. Where does this rank as far as challenging brews or recipes to kind of wrap your head around or do?
It wasn't too hard, I'd say. After, like I said, we just had Double brewed a couple months or a month before or whatever it was. So, like, it's just kind of almost the Double, but blown up a little bit more specialty malt and the Belgian candy sugars. But it's definitely a fun beer because the ABV, and it was fun because we scaled it down a little bit rather than having to mash in a 9% beer. It'd fill our mash tun to the top and maybe overflow it because we only got a 3-barrel system. So I scaled it down to like a 2.5-barrel batch just to make it easier on you.
Yeah, thank you. Last thing you want to do in a brew day is pull a groin. So that's
your day off from school.
Yeah, that's true. That's also nice.
Why is that always the first thing you go to?
Well, because it happens a lot. You'd be surprised.
Pull the groin. Every time.
I cannot reiterate more the importance of stretching, folks. Whether it's you're brewing or just getting up to do a crossword puzzle and have a cup of coffee. Stay limber, stay alive. That's my motto.
Habitual.
At the University of Notre Dame, in the football in the locker room, they have the play like a champion today. On my little mirror Post-it note when I'm getting ready, I'm pumping myself up for the day, putting my contacts, talking to myself in the mirror. I got a little post-it that says "Stretch like a champion" today, and that's when I put my. Okay, here we go. Let's go get them. I got to go to the grocery store.
Words of affirmations are important.
Hey, let's be positive.
God,
Okay,
I'm
there's a
gonna
lot
have
of
to stretch in the break.
there's a lot of
I didn't stretch before this.
right. Yeah. Well, you should. I almost biffed it coming down here the first time. So yeah, stretch no matter what you're doing. It's a good thing. Speaking of stretching. They call me master of the segue. So I'm looking at this tap list here, and there's a wide variety of different things. And that was kind of getting back to why I was excited to do this collaboration with Josh here at Heavy Rotation, was that it seems like there are some breweries that play to their strengths, and there's some breweries that don't. Like, I've walked into breweries and they have like 24 beers on tap, And maybe if you're thinking about, are they all good? Not really. That's the nice thing about this place is I can come here and I know whether I'm getting the dark mild or the session IPA or the cream ale. I know they're all going to be made with quality. And so I knew that like whatever we decided to do was going to turn out. And I think this beer really did turn out well. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the other beers that you like to have? I know that you go through a lot of different ones quickly because you have such a small system. And let's be honest, the people are thirsty. They're coming in. They're not just having a 5-ounce pour of one thing and leaving. They're hunkering down for the meat raffle, the trivia, the podcast, interpretive dance, which you'll all be able to enjoy later. What are some of the things that you're really proud of on your tap list?
Right now, I really enjoy the American Bock. It's pre-prohibition amber lager. It's pre-prohibition, what a lot of people were drinking before the states got crazy and decided to get rid of beer. It's a nice malty lager made with 20% flaked corn. I really like it. It adds a little maltiness, sweetness, but it's still kind of dry and a little bit of hoppiness to it. The BP Pale Ale we always try to have on. It's a fun way to introduce our customers to different kind of hops. I keep the same yeast, the same mash, the same malt every time. The only thing we change is hops.
Oh, I like
that.
So
we try to get a different hop in every time. So every time you have it, it's familiar, but it's also different. And then when you go to a different tap room and you're like, oh, I've had this hop before. I know what I can expect. And that it creates higher education for our customers, and higher educated customers makes them happy and makes them come back more.
And that's important, though. And that's important because I think part of what we were talking about earlier is the education part. And I think you have, a lot of folks that aren't necessarily apt for trying stouts or porters. So another great way of really introducing them to, what better way to introduce them to something like peanut butter than having them try something lighter and a little less intimidating than a pale ale.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of customers who are appreciative that we don't just have a tap list full of hazies or adjunct stouts or whatever it may be, that it gets overwhelming for a while or like overdoes your palate if you're just constantly drinking IPAs. So, and like I said too, our customers have really appreciated the lower ABV beers, and that makes it more fun for me where I get to kind of delve more into what the differences are between a German Pils and a Czech Pils, and we're hoping to brew an Italian and a French Pils soon, and we have a New Zealand Pils in the tank, and so.
Oh wow!
I've seen a lot more French Pilsners. I know Blackstack just won a GABF medal for Slopes, their French Pilsner.
It's awesome.
I think it's kind of, we're going to talk about different styles coming back later on in our craft beer talking points segment, so stick around for that. I think it's also nice to be able to walk into a brewery and find a ton of variety, because I think that's like in one way, shape, or form, the variety is what got us all excited about craft beer. It wasn't just all one thing. It wasn't just all American light lagers, or it wasn't just all Guinness. It was like so many different things in between. And I think everybody up here on the panel has worked in breweries where like there's been a decided effort to try to have different things on tap. Cable and Mahad, what are some of your favorite things that you like to see on a tap list when you walk into a brewery?
Definitely variety is a huge part of it. And a lot of that really depends on, obviously, the size of the brewery, right? Earlier I mentioned it depends on the willingness of the person in charge as well. I think I've worked personally, and I'm sure we've all worked with folks. I remember one of the first head brewers that I worked under was someone that was very, very unwilling to make anything other than a certain style at the end of the day. So a lot of times, even if it's good for the business to have a variety, even if the people demand it, you sometimes can run into certain people that have their own thinking and their own biases, whatever that might be. So I think first and foremost, the variety is a huge part of what I look into when I go into a brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, to piggyback off variety, same thing. Like, yeah, variety is important. But like, there are specific styles of beer I look for when I go into a brewery, especially if I'm going to this brewery for the first time. Like a light lager or a lager of some sort that's not a hoppy lager, because I go under the idea of like, you can tell a brewer's worth, like how much they actually care, just based in a lager, because a lot of times, a lot of lagers don't have a lot of hops in them, and a lot of brewers hide behind hops because, you mess up a beer a little bit, dry hop it. New beer, it's fixed. But like a lager, even when the grist bill is easy and the yeast is easy to work with, like there's a lot of nuance to it where you can make it bad pretty easily. So like, to me, that's something like, it kind of leads into like showing you, like having a clear message that you care about what's happening.
Yeah. One of the questions I have for all three of you is that, if let's say you've got a brewery owner who is like willing, give the brewer free reign. The brewer has an idea of what they want to do. The connector between the back of the house to getting in the customer's glass is like a staff that's pouring beer that can help educate. That's one of the things I love about heavy rotation is every time I come here, the beer tenders know what's going on. They're willing to take time. I've been here so many times, and I'm just, you kind of get the deer in the headlights look. I am also, in addition to a bad short-term memory, I always only look at the left-hand side of something, which is why I was a horrible boxer.
So you're aware that this list we've been looking at has a right side,
yeah,
right?
I just discovered that. What's purple stuff? No. But like sometimes when I go up there, I just like look at the left and like, I'll have that. And I get back to the table and I'm like, oh, nuts. There were like a whole bunch of different other things up there. But, the beer tenders here are always really good. It's like, let me know if you want to try a little splash of something. I think that's always important to do. I think that when you're coming in, because I know there's a handful of breweries that do not do samples and
what a weird mistake.
I just think that's so.
It's tough.
That's like,
16 tabs.
giving somebody a back rub and not singing to them at the same time. It's just like you're missing out on part of the experience.
Weird equation, but okay.
Tell me you like a silent back rub? Come on, that just sounds crazy.
How good are you at singing?
Very bad. So
then I just want the silent back rub.
But
sounds like extra hops in a lager to me.
Yeah,
boom, there it is. There it is. I like that. I think that if you pour somebody a sample, that you might sell an extra beer or two.
100%.
It's a conversation starter for sure.
Yeah.
You're instantly able to even pour yourself one and be like, what are you tasting? What do you like about it?
Yeah. Also, craft beer is about the experience. Craft beer is supposed to be fun.
Yep.
Like if people just wanted to go drink, they'd just stay home or go to the bar and just like not have a conversation with anybody.
Well, and there are a ton of bars that have now learned that is the trick, right? At the end of the day, it's like if you want someone to come in and sit down and have a conversation and be open at the end of the day, you better be able to pour them a little something. They can taste it. It doesn't even have to be a beer on tap for them to try. It can be a bottle of whiskey that they like, just a tiny little bit, just one sip. They can take a sip of it, and next thing you know, they might be sitting there until they actually have to go and ice skating or something.
That's right. Don't not follow your dreams. Do it. So you got a lot of great beers here. Now, I also noticed that there's things other than beer here, and I think that's becoming very important. So that's a good segue into our first beer talking point. I got a question for you because I think now it's there's breweries closing and the economy is not great for any place. There's a narrative out there that young people aren't drinking anymore, or they're drinking less, or they're drinking different things. So I thought one of the things we could talk about is like, what do you look for in a brewery? What do you think people are looking for in a brewery? So one of the questions I have is, How do you rank the following as you're looking for a brewery to visit? Popularity, variety of styles and drink options, like NA options, seltzers, etc. Quality of beer, friendliness of staff, or ease of getting there. And when I say that, I'm talking about location and parking because I'm grumpy old man. If I can't find a parking spot, I'm just that's cranky old Mr. B. I'll just like, I guess I'm going home now. There's always Yahtzee and a glass of Kool-Aid at the end of the rainbow. So, if I can't find a parking spot. So what of those things are like your number one thing? Like, what do you prioritize
for me,
that list?
For me, definitely quality of beer. If they got good beer, I'll deal with a lot of bullshit. But then after that, I'd say staff, because that's the other thing is those are the people between the brewer and your glass. And if they are good at what they do and they sell you what you want, you're going to keep coming back because you trust them. And then I'd say after that, parking and location. But Jesse and I live in North, so we're like so close to so many good breweries, so it's pretty easy.
How about you, Mahad?
I would definitely say it would definitely have to be. I'll start with staffing in a lot of ways. Because part of it, like you said, a lot of us have been in the industry for a while, so we know the people. I remember going to Udapils back in the day specifically because I knew Jesse and Tom were behind the bar working together in a lot of ways, right? Or I would go down to Wicked Ward because I knew Josh was working and getting off a shift, and we would have a couple there at the end of the day. Or same with Cable. And Kyle hanging out at Lakes and Legends in a lot of ways. So definitely staffing. And obviously the diversity of staff is always also very important, and I can understand in small town, middle of nowhere that staffing is just as important because, right, if I'm going to Brainerd once in a while, I know I'm always stopping by at, Jack Pine because, we love the people that work there and we know them by name and they know us at the end of the day in a lot of ways. So staffing is always very important.
I mean, I'm pretty much in the same camp as Mahad. For me, like, even before I was actually, like, working in the craft beer scene, what kept me going to certain places was staff. Mm-hmm. Like some of my favorite places went through periods where their beer was awful, but I kept going back because I really liked the people working there. And it was like, it felt nice to go there and be able to converse with someone. And I'll put up with a beer that's not that great because it's to the experience point. I'm having a good experience overall. Right. Like, but then yes, also variety and styles interchangeable, also very important. Like, if a place has really bad beer, but I have a good time talking to the bartender, there's a better chance that I'll say, "Can I have your number? Do you want to hang out sometime?" Then go back.
Do you want to audition for the Ice Capades with me? Because we can.
I need a partner.
We go rehearse our routine at Udapils or Heavy Rotation and get out of here. At what point do you sacrifice? So here's an example. Okay, this is where Lakes and Legends comes in.
All right, here we go again.
I don't know what. So here's why I forgot that Lakes and Legends did Belgian beers because I never got them. Like I would always get the other things.
Yeah, and they had so few of the other things for so long.
I know, but then you showed up, and then Bok showed up, and I was like, all Bok all the time, or Vibe Check. Right? Yeah. Wait, no, that was
no, that was Kai's.
Yeah,
that one basically became a flagship because people wanted it.
So
not because ownership wanted it. We just kept brewing it and didn't tell them that we were doing it until after we did.
Always easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Well, especially when it's making you money.
That's right. So that's one example that I have is like I don't like struggling for parking because
you can't just use the parking ramp that was above.
No,
Lakes
and
and
it's
Legends.
like I don't.
Why would you ever use a parking ramp?
If I have to talk to my loan officer about paying for parking, it's just not going to happen.
Well, I feel like the apartments are also a maze, so to come down for a beer once you're up there.
You think you're coming out one way, you wind up in Jurassic Park. It's a totally different experience.
Excuses.
Yeah. So, I'm fine with that. But one of the things I will say is when you were releasing a beer that I was excited about, I'm like, okay, I'm going to suck it up, drive down there, try to find, budget an extra 2 hours to find a spot and then go and try the beer. At what point do you sacrifice some priorities for your lists about how you decide you're going to or not going to go to a place?
I think it all depends on the circumstances. I have talked to Kevin Welch, who owned Boom Island back in the day over in North, and all he made was Belgian beers, right, for a long time at the end of the day. Didn't want to make anything else. And, you know, the list of people that walked in there were the same people that you would meet at a VFW at the end of the day. It was the same regulars because it was Belgian beers, right? And if you have 10 beers and all tap lines are going to be Belgian beers, then you also have to understand what you're sacrificing in a lot of ways. I've also worked at Sociable for, 4 years where we really had some talented brewers that had made some really good beers, but the beers were an afterthought in a lot of ways at Sociable. They were not the important thing that we wanted to make, even if some of us really pushed many, many times in a lot of ways to try and really, like, we have that tap line for a reason. We have 4 or 5 lines for a reason. So it all depends on the circumstances in a lot of ways.
So I don't drive, so I'll tell you right now that if it costs me more than like $15 to go somewhere, no.
Yeah.
Like, I have to really want to go there, or someone special needs to be there, because no.
Oh, so this trip here to Brooklyn Park today is very special then.
This was special.
Yeah.
Aww.
It's always special to be on Dan's podcast.
And I think
Keep those numbers up.
that's right. People know the mustachioed hunk of musical talent and beer knowledge is going to be here. Is this your 5th time on the podcast?
The god of pod.
This is like
The
5
god
or
of
6. Charles, do you know? Come on, Charles.
Think if you might
I thought
be,
you were counting for
you
me.
might be on the Mount Rushmore of a One Pint Stand
Are we
podcast.
counting Patreon only episodes too?
I mean, we could.
Because then I think it's like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got to come up with something, some sort of thing.
I'm waiting for my 5-timer robe.
That's also something I got to go thrifting. I got to get a good price on some really fancy terry cloth things, and I'll staple a logo on there.
Bathrobe.
You said robe.
Yeah.
I thought you said something else.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. All right. We're going to do our Okay, we're going to do our one talking point, then we're going to take a break. Okay? So I was talking point number 1, getting Gen Z into craft beer third spaces. I read this interesting article. And so the article defines Generation Z as people ages 7 to 22. And they are the loneliest generation. I can tell you from firsthand experience as a high school teacher that young people today do not know how to talk to each other. It is kind of eerie. You ask a question in a room full of like 37 people, and you just get children of the corn blank stare. And I'm like, well, I know you have stuff to say. I know you understand what we're talking about. They are really bad at like social interactions. And I feel like there's an opportunity here for craft beer.
I didn't know I was Gen Z.
You're between 7 and 22.
Every generation has their statistical outliers.
Very true.
But I think there's something to be said. Now, I know at Heavy Rotation, in addition to good beer, good variety of beer, you do a lot of really fun events here. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, more so than the average brewery does. When you're thinking about how to fill up your calendar, I know you do a lot of music, open mic, you have a legendary meat raffle. It was even featured in an article like a month and a half ago. Mm-hmm. Is there thought about which different types of demographics you want to try to get to come and see this place and experience like the community potential of this craft brewery?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's probably more a Ken question, but yeah, and it makes it difficult for us being in the northwest suburbs where we don't have a lot of more Gen Z younger people. definitely more families and older folks and stuff. But we try to appeal to a wide variety of people, whether it's, like you said, the meat raffle. Everyone likes free food, so that's easy. Last night we did a Don't Tell comedy show. The place was packed, and that's always fun and awesome.
Okay.
We were doing a Drinksgiving next Wednesday for our meat raffle. So
Okay.
after the meat raffle, we're going to do live music, and everyone likes to have a fun time before having to deal with their family at Thanksgiving.
That's right.
So that's...
A lot of tariff talk this year, I've heard. It's like a tariff. I wish I could put a tariff on turkeys. I hate turkey. I don't. Do you want to dry something out? Just put a turkey in the oven. No, I'm not a fan. I wish the Pilgrims would have been into like a really good bacon wrapped meatloaf. Wouldn't that just be amazing? Just sitting there in your hat with your buckle and sawing into a nice meatloaf.
And that would have paired really well with the Belgian dark strong.
I know. I know. Yeah, that's a good question. What sort of a food would you pair with the Belgian dark strong?
Bacon wrapped meatloaf.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'd be into that.
Bacon wrapped meatloaf. That's right.
Why did anyone give that to you?
I told you I wanted to be a ice capade person and a DJ.
You're just shock jockeying.
They used to call me Special B.
Nice.
Do you think that if more people discovered craft breweries and the variety of different things, that would help get people out more? Or do you think that Gen Z is just, they're going to be lonely forever?
No, I was talking to Jesse about this last night. I think with the more people are disconnected online and with technology becoming greater and greater with AI, they're going to look for more in-person experiences, because she had just gone to a big comedy show. I'm going to one next month. I think those things are going to be more important. Live music, like the things you can't get from technology are going to be emphasized and have a higher value put on them. So I think going out, having a good meal, a good beverage, those things are going to eventually come back around cyclically. And like I've always told my uncles, like, they're like, do you think craft beer is going to survive? I'm like, it's been around hundreds of years. Yeah. It was just not called craft beer.
Right.
It was just historical styles. But like, you're not going to want to eat McDonald's every day. So why are you going to sit in your house by yourself drinking Keystone Light every day? Go out, like, sit at a bar and bullshit. And
well, yeah, and there's a lot to say going back to the creating an experience. So it's like doing these events. I mean, so over at Insight, like I feel like we pull a decent amount of like Gen Z people over there, but we step outside of like your standard events. And that's the thing that I think a lot of breweries don't necessarily quite grasp yet, is you can't just do standard events or like little things that are based only in your area. Like you need to get something that'll bring people in. Like we do Dogtoberfest. Yeah. Because everyone's doing an Oktoberfest. Why would we do an Oktoberfest? Let's do Dogtoberfest. Yeah. But like it's a hot dog themed festival.
The Kaiser
and
Schnauzer.
That brings in, like, we're right by the U of M. That brings in so many U of M kids that like don't usually come in, but every time we do an event like that, you start to see some of those kids come in a little bit more often because they go, oh, this is a cool place to hang out.
Or like your guys' bingo, the bingo equivalent on Mondays.
It's not bingo. Legally, it is not bingo.
But you guys give away free tickets to concerts and things, and I think that gets a good crowd in. And even we saw some older folks won some tickets because they're not going to go see Yellow Wolf. So they're like, no, pass it on to the next group. We're going to take the Crowlers, but give someone else that stuff.
But yeah, I mean, all of those are really great ways to, like you said, to kind of mitigate part of the underlying of why Gen Zers are not drinking in a lot of sense. But I think part of it, the bigger issue is also, I think the craft beer has been dealing with legal issues from, state and federal level for a long time. And now there's another one that just happened where breweries and local small businesses can't really sell THC products anymore.
In a year.
Yeah.
Buy them now.
Yep. And for a long time, even Minnesota has dealt with the fact that you couldn't buy 4-packs and 6-packs from local breweries. So we, at the state level and at the federal level, we have done everything we can to try and shut down small businesses, even though politicians will always run for saying that we're for small businesses. places.
Yeah.
That's the quite opposite. When you have much larger, MBAs and restaurant associations and liquor associations that are competing against a small little business in Brooklyn Park at the end of the day. So part of it is that, but education is still a huge part of it. And I think part of what Josh was saying earlier, like having comedy places, certain things that attract. I don't know what 7-year-old's going to go to a brewery without their parents, but in terms of Gen Z, I didn't even know Gen Z.
I don't think legally that's an option. Is it?
Yeah, if a 7-year-old walks in
Yeah.
without a parent, I'm going to be very concerned.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that still breweries can do.
Yeah.
And you have to. It's been that way with craft beer, right? You have to change with the times in a lot of sense.
Well, and so you just hit on something that I'm kind of curious about, because growing up, like, it was not an option to go with my parents to a bar. I mean, there's some little tykes here. They're growing up understanding what breweries are. They're being, taught like, okay, this is beer. These are things you need to be careful about. And so I wonder if we just need to like kind of bridge that gap a little bit, because there will be a certain generation that understands like, oh yeah, my parents go to craft breweries. Someday I'll go to craft breweries because that's just the norm for them. I know in a lot of other states where they have had a craft beer scene for, 30, 40 years, it's just, you just see
normal
families.
Yep.
Like there doesn't need to be a designated little fenced off area with, Legos to step on and stuffed animals. It just is what it is. And so I wonder.
Anywhere in Europe.
Well, yeah, anywhere in Europe, right? Yeah.
Well, part of that might also be, I think we were talking about education. Part of that, and I go down the deep end in terms of like when I'm trying to do research on certain things, and I think part of it might be because there might have been too much education on that side, because I remember seeing videos in the 1980s or late 70s when the seat belt was something that was going in cars. And the amount of people that were losing their shit about, I can't have my Budweiser in my car. Now the government's telling me I can't do this, right? In a lot of ways. And I
just
think,
go to Texas. Isn't that
Glorious video, by the way. If no one's ever seen that, you should just look up
we're going to act it out for in the second act.
It's amazing.
So part of that is also, I think, I'm a millennial, and I think most of us are here on the stage here. I think part of it is I think families are really being proactive.
I'm a millennial too.
I'm definitely Gen Z.
That's right.
I think parents are being proactive in making sure that there's a healthy way of kids growing up around alcohol in all the ways. And part of that might also be because maybe then Gen Zers now understand that maybe this is not something that's not for them because it's alcohol, right? In a lot of sense. Versus where we were just 40 years ago.
Well, I think there's also a lot to say that, like, I will argue with anyone about this. Craft breweries aren't bars. They have a bar.
Right.
They are not bars. Craft breweries tend to be a community gathering center in a lot of our areas. Yes, some of them are more bars, more restaurant style type things. But for the most part, we are more of a community hub that happens to have alcohol.
More akin to like the British public house, where it was like
exactly.
it was more just a place to gather and like talk to your neighbors and
German
like,
beer garden.
Yeah, German beer garden, exactly, same
So
thing.
it makes it easier for it to be a place where you can have your family, have a couple drinks, provide that education,
Play trivia.
Yeah, exactly. Like do fun things, and it's less. That's why like if I had kids, I'm still not bringing my kid to the CC club. They can come. They can come to a brewery.
Especially not with that attitude. Okay. Yeah. Right. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a very clear difference in what you go to a brewery for, and like the experience you can hope to have, and then like if you're going to a bar, it's going to be different. It's going to be a different experience. So,
and that is the history of beer, right? It came out because it was something that was brewed because people wanted to socialize together. That's literally the history of it.
Communal.
Yeah. Well, and hey, December 5th, National Repeal Day coming up. So make sure you celebrate at maybe you're going to come to Heavy Rotation and celebrate with the beer here for that. I see some empty glasses, and so we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to do Talking Point 2 and Talking Point 3, and then we're going to dive into our favorite wintertime beers. You are listening to a live show of a One Pint Stand here at Heavy Rotation Brewing Company in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Cheers. Now I won't have to add in the applause sound effect later. Thank you. You've warmed my heart. That was beautiful.
Well, it started as a one-night stand. I had 2 pints for lonely hand. Bounced back like a rubber band. 4, 3 pints. Drink a fourth in the faraway land, but I couldn't make it as a single man. So I married me this beer right here. A pint, a one-pint stand.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you're enjoying a One Pint Stand. My aim is to help spread the word about craft beer. Enjoying craft beer is a passion of mine, and I love chatting about it with other people. A One Pint Stand has a goal of helping breweries tell their stories. I love to get out in and beyond Minnesota to visit breweries, beer bars, and meet other interesting beer people. Now, if you're also into those things, you probably want to keep tabs on the show. So go ahead and follow a One Pint Stand on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and Mastodon. I also created a TikTok account because I was tired of Charles calling me a boomer for not having one. I would also appreciate any and all positive reviews on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts so that it's easier for other craft beer listeners to find us. If you want to be a supporter of the podcast with some of the extra change you find in your couch cushions, I've got a Patreon. There are 3 different monthly levels of support, and they're priced at $1, $3, or $5 a month. If you pledge at the $3 or $5 monthly level, you get some cool perks. So go to patreon.com and search a One Pint Stand to check it out. We're up to 28 supporters, and I'm really excited about what that means for the show. If you like reading about craft beer, check out written work on aonepintstand.com. I love to write, and that's where you can find a lot of the written content covering both the local craft beer happenings as well as my craft beer travels. I truly appreciate you listening and taking time to enjoy our stories. Before we head back to the show, I want to talk about this episode's sponsor, Arbeiter Brewing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. As we head into the holiday season, Arbeiter has all your holiday needs covered. Whether it's a gift for that special craft beer lover in your life, or you just want to enjoy a fantastic craft beer in a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere, Arbeiter can help you out with that. An Arbeiter gift card makes the perfect gift. Of course, if you're having the whole family over for some holiday festivities and you want to bring them to a place that epitomizes the third space energy that we all love, they've got great beers on tap. Their winter seasonal Nachtreiter is a German Schwarz beer, and it's on tap and flowing. It's malty, it's delicious. It will definitely add to your holiday season enjoyment. If you're looking for a specific holiday flavor in a beer, get their Pfeffernuss beer, a holiday cookie-inspired beer with flavors and aromas of allspice, cinnamon, and nutmeg. You need a new brewery hoodie? Well, their merch is fully stocked for your brewery apparel needs. Arbeiter will welcome you in with open arms and full pints. So make sure you check them out this holiday season and tell them a One Pint Stand sent you.
How about a beer?
We're back for the second half of our live show here at Heavy Rotation Brewing. I want to thank all of you, whether you came here for this podcast or you came here and happened to discover that this podcast is happening. You're being a wonderful audience. Really excited about that.
Thank you.
And we hope that you're enjoying. Now, if you came here to meditate, I apologize. You got tomorrow, too. I have to say, so...
Is there a yoga happening tomorrow?
There's going to be a yoga happening out in the parking lot in about 17 minutes. I'm going to be leading the downward faces empanada. I'm going to go get those, and we'll do some stretches. And speaking of which, if you haven't eaten lunch yet, if you want some arepas that are going to be delicious, there's a kiosk over here. You order... Brian, thumbs up. Brian Wu, two thumbs up.
That's not a thumbs up. There we go.
There it is. Yeah, that was what we had on the brew day for lunch. Yeah. And I feel like, talk about needing to stretch after. Holy cats. Delicious stuff. Really, really good stuff.
Just more talk of this brew day that I didn't even get an invite to.
I sent you a telepathic message. I don't know what you want.
Oh, sorry. I think I might have you blocked on that.
That's right.
It was getting weird.
Well, I've been having all sorts of communication problems. Apparently, I had the wrong last 4 digits of Josh's phone number, so somebody's been getting a lot of chatter about Belgian beer, and if you're in the room, I'm sorry about that. And then Mahad got a new phone, so I wasn't getting his texts. It's just like all... Yeah. Again, hopefully this will all be better when we just are more comfortable being in person and we can just have a little bit more of the face-to-face. One last oddball thing, and then we'll get back into our talking points. But I went to use the bathroom, and here's hats off to the heavy rotation marketing department for this event. They put together these great graphics. They've been publicizing it on social media, and I went in the bathroom and I looked. And there's my picture right above the toilet paper dispenser. If that's not the best type of marketing you can get, I don't know what is. So,
how uncomfortable were you, though, out there?
I'm like, is that what I really look like? This is very... And then the eyes started moving, like in one of those haunted mansion things. And I'm like, what's happening here? So that was exciting. So we're here because Josh and I brewed a collaboration beer called Minnesota Hug. Now, what we didn't do in the first half is we didn't talk about how the name came to be. And we were kind of kicking some ideas back and forth, and I don't know. I like to think of myself as somewhat of a creative person, but I was having trouble thinking about it. But then you brought something up, because I was like, well, it's high ABV, 9%. And so when I think of like, I went to Louisville, Kentucky a couple summers ago, and when you take a sip of bourbon, that warming you get in your chest and in your soul and in your loins, is called the Kentucky Hug. And it's just like kind of warms you up. And so I was like, okay, what about Minnesota Hug? And you could approach it from many different ways. Yes, this is a 9% beer. It has a little alcohol warming. But also, in Minnesota, in wintertime, you want to hunker down. You want to warm up. You know, this beer is going to warm you up. Also, one of the things I love to do to my mother-in-law is give her an awkwardly long hug when we're leaving. And just really grab on. And almost like in my head, I think I count to 12 Mississippi before I let go.
That's
and,
a long
you
hug.
know, she's the classic
How
Minnesota.
slow are you saying Mississippi?
Mississippi.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
so, and she's like, oh, okay. Well, we're doing this now. Okay, well, that's great. And, you know, about 15 seconds of that. And I'm just like smiling the whole time, and my wife is rolling her eyes. And
Pushes you off like a cat trying to stay out of a tub.
Yeah, so Minnesota Hug is the name, and I really like that. And I think, you know, whatever meaning that means for you, take it and enjoy it. Now, I had to step down from the 9%. I'm drinking my favorite, the dark English mild London Calling. This is a 4% beer, very sessionable. Is that what you have too, Mahad?
It's a great beer.
Okay, well, what are you sipping
I got
on?
me the BP Pale Ale.
The BP Pale Ale. Josh?
I have the Fretless Session
Fretless.
Hazy IPA.
Excellent. So whatever you're drinking, let's do a group cheers. Cheers to Heavy Rotation for great beer and creating a great community for us to enjoy. Let's get it.
And cheers to all of you sitting in the audience.
Yeah, and thanks for coming out. So in the first half, we left off on a bit of a cliffhanger. If you've got 16 beers on tap, you take 4 styles that economically are viable. So again, like you said, Josh, not your most expensive beers ingredients-wise, and you put those consistently at like $6, you know? So we're thinking like a golden ale, you know, a lager that doesn't use any super like exclusive or eclectic ingredient, or like, I mean, an English dark mild is a perfect thing. I mean, that has to be fairly economical to brew because it's low in ABV and stuff like that. I think every brewery should have at least one beer that's $6.
I agree with that.
Because if you go to a brewery and you're paying, I'm the type of person, when I go to a brewery, I'm not just stopping in for 1 hour. I'm there for an evening. So I like to have a couple beers because I'm sitting around with my friends and chit-chatting. So it's like 3 beers. If there's a brewery that's charging $10 per beer, that's $30 before tip. So you want to tip too.
Yep.
That's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Beer is billed as this every person's drink. It's supposed to be like a blue collar type of thing. So I get ingredients are expensive. I get there's rent is expensive. I get all these things are expensive, but would it be feasible for every brewery to just have one beer that was $6? I don't know. This is why I'm asking the professionals. I just have the Fisher Price brewery kit in my basement. I don't know. It did not come with any
I'm going to get a
spreadsheets.
big old Fisher Price sticker and slap it right on your kegerator.
Oh, yes. Kegatron would love that.
Having been in the operations side for a while, I think the biggest thing from that would probably be just the logistics of it. Sure, I mean, there are smaller breweries, whether it's inside or whether it's heavy rotation, that can kind of manage that at a smaller level. But when you get to some of those bigger levels, it's much harder. I don't think Surly or Summit would care to have a $5 versus what they charge for $7 or $8 at the end of it, or even heavy.
Summit does.
They have a $5?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get, they made a lager and a light lager. You can get it in 4-packs for $6 at the liquor store, and it's like cheap as heck in the tap room.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really good too.
That's crazy. Well, they can get away with that though because they're selling so much.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that's that's back into that volume.
That volume, yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of it is just from a logistical standpoint at the end of the day. And I think if you can manage to kind of figure that out, yeah, absolutely. And I think that is something that's also new now that I think we've seen probably post-pandemic, where a lot of breweries are also brewing in light lagers now, right? That wasn't something that we ventured into before the pandemic. That 3.2% beers are about under 4% light lagers at the end of the day, which would be perfect because at the end of the day, the cost of it is also a lot less per pint what you would for whether you're buying a pallet milled or if you're getting $10,000 worth of equipment or malt at Revolution at the end of the day. So I think that type of beer would most likely be it because that's what most people would drink anyways. If most people are asking for Coors Light or Busch Light, it would make sense to have that as the most economically priced beer.
Yeah. Something to think about. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting take.
It's an interesting take, but it's like I said, it's just like making a broad statement at the level you're at is kind of one of those things like, well, like you gotta say, because all you're going to do is push people who don't have the knowledge that we have about the industry into thinking things should be a certain way when certain places like businesses can't afford to do that. Like,
and I'll
doing it on a lager. Right. Lagers take time. That's money too. Yeah. It takes up your tank.
And I'll give Doug the benefit of the doubt at the end of the day. For a marketing guy, I don't think he makes broad statements for anyone to take it. I think it's just ideas.
I think this was one of
struggling.
This was an example of him just like putting something out there,
out in the ether.
What do you all think?
And then seeing if some mustached man gets angry about it. Yeah,
and I saw the
Brooklyn
post
Park.
too. I'm happy you didn't put the third thing you mentioned on there.
Oh yeah, he's like people should. Well, he was like.
You wanted to do a Monopoly game where you get a piece to a puzzle.
Yeah. So it is McDonald's. He just wants McDonald's.
He does.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I don't know. Usually his takes are pretty spot on. But
I think breweries have enough uncomfortable chairs, including our own. So we already got that McDonald's thing.
These are comfy though.
Yeah, we got the nice ones.
Yeah, this is. My butt's still awake, and I've been yapping for 2.5 hours.
You guys got padded ones.
That's good. That's why he's got the mustache.
Padded one.
His
I
butt's
want a
asleep.
padded one.
For free beer, who wants to wake up Cable's butt? Okay, talking point number 3.
I am in.
Are classic styles going to come back in 2026? Or is the fact that I'm starting to see amber ales, brown ales, and pub ales more and more just a statistical outlier? Your thoughts?
I mean, I do think they're coming back. So we were just talking about cost of making things. A lot of those like traditional styles are a lot cheaper for breweries to make. It takes a lot less ingredients. We have to buy a lot less special grains and things in order to make like a good amber ale. Doesn't take a lot to do that, or a good brown ale. So I think a lot of that is starting to come back, but also from the consumer side of things, I feel like we're starting to see a lot of people who are getting tired of this, like, oh, pastry this, high ABV this. Like, they just want a beer that reminds them of a beer. Like at Insight, we just put on an Irish Red.
I had that.
Yeah, the Little Fiddle.
Day. Yeah,
great beer.
Yeah, very tasty.
It's all because people in our tap room are asking about like traditional beers or more like less hazy IPAs and things like that. They're looking for something a little different, but like something that reminds them of a beer. It's why we're seeing American light lagers a lot more now too. Is people just want a beer that tastes like a domestic beer, but is just elevated.
Yeah.
And I've gotten that a lot with customers being like, oh, this German Pils reminds me a lot of the Pilsner I had when I was in the military in Germany, or this Czech lager reminds me of the Czech lager I had visiting my family in the Czech Republic. And that connection back to memories creates a lot stronger bond than people hulking down hazy IPAs because it's so sweet and juicy. It's like I'm drinking one right now, but you have to try every style and see what's fun. And I think people are getting back to that tasting aspect of beer where it's not just I'm going to find my one category and stick with it. I want to try something new every time I go. And
yeah, we're seeing a lot of nostalgia and then that connection of nostalgia to something new.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of it is obviously, I think, the willingness for breweries, whether you're at that large revolution, economically, or you're at heavy rotation where Josh is willing to take risks and make something that maybe the local crowd here has never seen, but is betting that because of his skills that they're willing to try it at least. And then if they like it and the numbers prove he's gonna do it again. Like, I mean, beer, maize as corn for a beer historically has been a huge thing, and corn has now made into our industry in a lot of ways, where it's not just the big company, the big breweries, the macro breweries that are now using it. A lot of small breweries are now investing in brewing with corn in a lot of ways. And I remember when, how hot hazy has been for over the last 10 years. For a while, people were debating whether or not lagers were dead, and now lagers are the hot thing in a lot of ways. That's, if you don't have a lager, I think a lot of people are willing to walk away and walk in and walk right out.
I'm almost floored when I go into a place and I'm like, there's no Pilsner on tap. What's going on here?
Yeah. And that's a huge part of it is also the education in a lot of ways. I think the more, both from the skilled brewer that's putting the recipe together and can create a QC and an education behind it, to the staff and the operations and the front of the house people that are willing to really put the effort in making sure that when people walk in, that whether it's a pub ale, whether it's an English mild, or whether it's a corn, Mexican lager at the end of the day, that they're can articulate what it is and have a conversation around it and education.
And it's detaching that idea that, like, okay, a lager is the beer that my grandpa drank that was like just cold and bubbly but had very little flavor, and showing that, like, oh, a lager can be a lot of things.
100%.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Like the cold stout we have on now.
Yeah. Talk about that, because that's a very unique drinking experience.
Yeah, and it was just trying to be creative with beer where the cold IPA had kind of fallen off, where it's an IPA that's just brewed with a lager yeast, where I'm like, well, let's just do a stout heavy in chocolate malt, coffee malt, and different caramel malts. But I'm like, let's just use 3470, an American kind of style lager yeast, and ferment it at 52. And I thought, instead of getting like as much residual sweetness, the chocolate flavor and coffee flavor came out a lot more, which was kind of really nice and pleasant. And it's, I guess, similar to a Baltic porter, but just without the high alcohol.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the beers I had in the brew day, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. Turned out really well. And I'm like, never seen that before, other than like a Baltic porter, which few and far between.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, today isn't a great indicator because it's like 54 degrees outside. But eventually the temperature's going to dip, and we're going to want to hunker down with some nice, warming beers. Maybe it's a Minnesota Hug. Maybe it's, Great Lakes Christmas Ale, which I got confirmation from the liquor store that the keg is in the cooler. So that's going to be on tap.
So
750 Arlington Avenue West on December 27th. So what are some, when you think of a beer styles for winter, what comes to mind? What jumps out at you?
Definitely darker beers. I like a good dunkel.
Ooh.
It's fun. Going off of lagers, I think that's a really good underrepresented style. It's very malty, but still super easy to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to my Summit Winter Ale every year.
Yes.
Oh,
That,
yeah.
that beer coming back, like
Such a great beer.
it's one of my first beer loves. And every winter when it comes around, it's spend too much money on it.
Yep. For me, it'd be Bigfoot.
Oh.
Yep, Sierra Nevada.
Hey-o.
Yeah, being in Cali. So, yeah. I mean, a lot of winter warmers around, and I love Summits. I look forward to that every time. But, yeah, I think Bigfoot still... Celebration, comes out around that same time as well, too, from Sierra.
One of
Yeah.
the few fresh hop beers you
yeah.
get at that time of the
Right.
year, and it's
Yep.
so good.
Yeah.
Well, it's so different because I think,
Yeah.
everybody knows what Oktoberfest is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what Irish Red is. Those are beers that are associated with a time of year. When you hear the term winter warmer, that's kind of a grab bag
Yep.
of different things.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a very loose term. Honestly, it just needs to have a little bit of a higher alcohol content. You could probably call it a winter warmer.
Yeah. And so I sometimes you see those, you see, everybody kind of does like their take on like a winter beer. And I know that Bell's does like a winter beer, but it's like a Scotch ale. And then Celebration is a fresh hop. When I was first getting into beer, I just assumed that every winter beer would be
Boozy,
dark and
yep.
malty.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
not
some
necessarily the case.
I really hope you didn't pour it out of the can and you just drank it straight and had a nice surprise.
Whoa, this is crazy. I'm trying to think, are there any winter beer styles that you don't like?
Part of it, I think, it would have to be in a lot of ways. I think from what you said, the winter warmers being kind of like a catch-all in a lot of ways. There are very few. I think IPAs kind of have fallen into that category lately. Maybe over the last 10 years, where certain IPAs like Celebration or like some of the other ones have come out. That are a little bit more on the hoppier side, more on the resiny side, because it's higher alcohol ABV IPA than your typical other seasonal ones. I think I've seen a few breweries trying to do that and kind of imitate that, and I think that probably, if you're going to do it, I think you kind of got to do it right, because it still has to be in that winter warmer umbrella in a lot of sense. It has to be that boozy, malty, resiny.
But quaffable.
It can be 4% in a negative 20 in Chicago at the end of the day.
No, you need to. Yeah, it's like, something to drink inside, or like something to drink at a winter holiday to get through the whatever discussion is happening. That's why I always vote to sit at the kids' table. I always think that's better, as the chances of a marshmallow going up somebody's nose at the adults' table, that's like less than 5%. But you go down to the kids' table, and you're 70% chance somebody's going to get a marshmallow stuck up their nose. So now we brought some winterish beers to try. Should we taste those and maybe talk to the crowd about what some of them taste like, and maybe give some recommendations?
I feel like this should have been planned a little bit more.
No, I mean, I feel like I'd be curious to hear what some of the audience's favorite stuff would be. So
anybody in the audience want to shout out what their favorite winter beers are?
Snowstorm?
Snowstorm, yes. Okay, we should talk about that. We should talk about that, because
it's a classic.
Shell Snowstorm is a beer that comes out every year, and it's always a different style. And the first time I had it, I think it was a caramel porter. This is back in like 2002
Caramel
or 3.
porter?
Yeah, it was a caramel porter. I'm like,
wow.
oh, this is great. And so the next year, Snowstorm came out. I bought like 3 6-packs of it. And I was expecting it to be like this caramely,
Thank you,
dark,
Jesse. You're the best.
kind of a,
So many beers.
a beer that was definitely on the darker side. And it was not. It was like light. It might have been hoppy. I'm like, oh no, the beer's gone bad. It was like bad. And then I'm like, oh, every year it's a little different.
Yeah.
So that's one that I look forward to. And this year, the one that just came out is called a Kumbacher lager. It's like a dark, kind of like an amberish, reddish, malty lager.
Do you know much about this? Because this is just tapping into a thing I'm very interested in, which is beer styles that are like
Hard to spell.
Yeah, well, yes. Also, like mildly, if not totally defunct, and then people try to bring them back.
I mean, it is a style that kind of went by the wayside.
All right.
You could hear the whole story on the Patreon because that's the Patreon version of my interview with
you mean I
Kyle
have
Marty.
to actually listen to the podcast?
You do, yeah. Speaking of which, if you're like, I like your podcast, but I wish there was just like a little more content to it. Ooh. Well, I've got an answer for you. You can join the One Pint Stand Patreon. Ooh. There's a QR code over here on the table. You can scan it. Not only can you see what the options are, there's 3 different tiers. $1, $3, or $5. At the $3 and $5 tier, you get some pretty cool perks like exclusive episodes and access to extra content. And that is just one of the things. You can hear the whole story of this year's Shell Snowstorm on the podcast, the Patreon version of that podcast. But yeah, it's an old style that went kind of by the wayside. The concept isn't old. I mean, it's been done.
Oh, yeah.
But that specific thing
Got it.
is a little different.
Okay, fine. I'll go listen to the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, you're a Patreon member. You should do that.
Well, I support my friends.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so what do we got here? We got some different ones.
The Falling Knife Belgian Dark Strong.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. That'd be a good one. And we'll see if all Belgian Dark Strongs are the same. Spoiler alert, they're not. They're all different. Just like snowflakes. They have their own personality, their own thing going on.
Oh, so many jokes.
So many.
So this is a Falling Knife
Belgian Dark Strong.
Belgian Dark Strong. What's the name? The can art is interesting.
Was this one that they brewed not too long ago, I'm assuming? It's a little older. Okay, yeah. So Josh has been aging it in his basement or German dungeon.
That's right.
That he's got.
Grab a glass and a safe word and head on down. It's okay.
No, this has just been sitting in my fridge for the past 2 or 3 years. I don't remember.
Yep.
I don't trust my basement with room temperature, so I don't really age any of my beers. They just sit in the back of my fridge and I forget about them until Jesse gets angry that there's no room for any real food.
Keyword being it's not safe in Josh's basement from what he said. So
I'm making a mental note.
yeah.
What's the code word? Squeegee.
The alcohol comes in hot right away, just on the nose.
Yeah. We're doing the drive-by taste that Dan mentioned earlier.
Oh, sorry. Were we supposed
Bunny
to drive
rabbit?
by
Are
it?
we doing a bunny rabbit sniff or a long sniff?
But that
Let me
also
know.
Please don't do the bunny rabbit.
This one is also 11.4 versus 9%, so that's a bigger difference.
That's on the higher. That's on the higher end
It's
of
hot.
the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's Falling Knife. They like to make when they do it big.
Oh my lord!
One of my favorite beers that they do is Old Painless, the English style barley wine. That is so good, but it is
so many variations.
But it
too.
gets better as it gets older.
Very old
Old Painless is great. Ancient Old Painless.
Yes.
Whew.
That was my nickname in high school.
Old-fashioned ones. They do a lot of fun stuff with that beer.
Yeah. With this one, a lot of I think flavors have kind of settled out from at least from what I'm tasting. But that booze is still there.
The maltiness and
The maltiness.
the booze, not as much of the yeast character. Absolutely.
There's a subtle
It's also-
caramelness to it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a lot lighter than the one that we brewed. That one seemed to be darker.
It definitely sits like on the edge
Settled for
of
sure.
calling it dark.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
amber.
Like it's very close to being more of like a Belgian Golden Strong.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but I just tried to sniff my microphone and take a sip of it. It's kind of funny.
We got to start doing video episodes.
I've always been told since
He's
my
he's gonna make the
pediatrician
worst
was
joke ever.
talking to me as a 5-year-old. You've definitely got the face for radio. So
See, I
don't
knew
know
it.
if
He was
video
gonna make that
podcast
joke.
would be
Yes.
very good. It's the John Lovitz in me. When I was recording with Arbiter, I'm like, I used to get the comparison to John Lovitz a lot, facially.
I love The Critic.
Yeah,
Underrated show.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, now we see it, but you would have had to say something first." This is good.
But you'd have both dreams coming true, right? Where you'd have the comedy part for the video and the radio voice.
There is
behind it
that.
At the end of the day.
There is that. People do love a radio voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. And so this is here's a question: to age or not to age?
Depends on the beer.
Sometimes we age on accident. I'm guilty of something gets like pushed behind the 27 different types of salsa and hot sauce I have in my fridge, and sometimes you forget about something and you drink it and it's like, oh, this turned out really well. What happens to a beer? Does anybody want to talk about what can happen to a big beer when you age it?
Unless you have a $5,000 room that you dedicated to cellaring, do not age. Drink the beer.
Yeah, you can get away with a year or two and have like an actual meaningful change, but for the most part, none of our houses, none of our basements, none of our fridges, none of our nothing are actually set up to properly age and make sure that things are kept in a proper moisture, proper temperature, any of that. Like, you can have your 10-year vertical of Surly Darkness, but I guarantee that 10-year-old Surly Darkness just really does not taste anywhere as good as the day it came out.
There's a lot that drops off, and then
After year 3, it falls off.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with getting a 4-pack, drinking 3 of them, and then keeping one in the fridge, right? For whatever reason. At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that.
Just be aware of like what's in it too. Like if it's a barrel aged beer and it aged on vanilla beans. Man, drink that right away. Vanilla is a strong flavor at first, but it falls off so hard, especially when you use beans. After a year, you're not going to know there was vanilla in it.
Yeah. Well, also, I think there's no oxidation, I don't think, in this one. So it's like sometimes if you age a beer, you'll start to get it'll get that cardboard flavor, and that's not very good.
Well, yeah,
you should never age an IPA.
I was also going to say it depends on how it was
an IPA.
packaged and whatnot.
It's in a can. It's been sitting in my fridge upright the whole time.
Yeah.
So even if there was oxygen in the can, it wasn't getting switched around.
Yeah.
Yeah, these Bourbon County, they go through a lot of work to make sure it's packaged really well and the caps are on tight. But if you're buying from a lot
It's not like in
brewers,
Canada where they sell the milk in a plastic bag. Did you know this? They sell milk in a plastic bag in Canada. That just seems crazy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, did you not know that?
Dead serious.
I did not know that.
No, it's in a plastic bag.
I was
I haven't been to a grocery store in
when
Canada,
I
so.
went to a grocery
Neither
store
have I.
and they're
You
like,
still do
"Where's
it."
the milk?" They're like, "Over there." Like, no, not the Capri Sun milk, the regular milk. No, it's all in a plastic bag, and they've got these things like.
It's more malleable.
I don't
You
know.
can just kind of shove it wherever
How
in the
much
fridge.
milk are you
I'm
drinking?
like, well, I guess I'm gonna. You have to
I
drink
don't
a
remember-
lot.
I don't remember
You're
the
not
last time I had a
resealing
glass
that and
of
putting
milk.
it back in the fridge. It's a one and done. It's a Pringles situation at that point. It's a bag of Doritos. You
it's
gotta
a bad
go
choice.
plow through the whole thing. You're going out for breakfast the next day because you're having this cereal now. Like, it's very weird. That was just
I concur.
it's very weird. So takeaway, you can age some beers, but not for too long.
Yeah. I wouldn't age a lot of things that have a lot of hops in them.
Right. Yeah.
Not
Because
gonna-
they will
You're not going to have
fall
a good time.
off.
Yep.
No, and then you'll be left with
I mean, right, and there's a reason why most breweries will age in much larger vats, right? Like a barrel at the end of the day, or a fooder for no more than a year, 2 years at most at the end of the day. So we're not dealing with something that has a higher alcohol that's going to keep a lot of the flavors, like the bourbons and the whiskeys, places that you've been to at the end of the day. And so think of it that way. If you're at home and you have much larger or much smaller stuff that you bought from the liquor store that you think it's going to last for 5-10 years, just don't, like everyone else said. If it's got fruits in it, drink it right away.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, you might be able to keep it for a year, but after that, drink it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the brewery already did all the aging for you.
Exactly.
So it's like they're releasing it ready to be drank. Like,
Yep.
do it.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been fun. Josh, thank you so much for brewing a beer with me. I think the beer
yeah.
turned out great.
Thank you for coming on.
Thumbs up. Did you try the Minnesota Hug? Would you recommend it to a loved one? That's what I like to hear. That's great. Cable, Mahat, thank you so much for joining us up here on the panel. This was fun. I always
Thanks for
love
having me. Thanks for having us.
doing a deep dive into the controversial beer topics of the day with you. because you get so upset. And Mahad is like the voice of reason. When you're over there raging, Mahad is the gentle breeze.
Calm down, mustache.
You are the...
Dan, I have an idea for a little Patreon side
somebody
thing.
write this down. This will be good.
Here we go.
What do we got?
Wait, you keep calling me Angry Mustache Man. I can be angry.
Yeah. It's like, who wore it better, you or Yosemite Sam? It's kind of like a very...
Oh, his is okay. He's got a better mustache though. I'll get a cowboy hat though.
You already have the chaps.
See ya.
Okay, so we're gonna end there. I want to have everybody. Thank you so much for.
And I look damn good in them.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't say you can pull them off. I can't.
Holiday party?
Oh yeah. Well,
Wow.
You
Well,
wear the
now I
chaps.
have to.
I'll wear the David apron, and we'll see. You know, who's the first one to get slapped with a lawsuit.
Hey, also, can I note for Sean? Mahad swore more than me. I only swore once.
That was
Did I?
quite
Really?
impressive.
Yeah.
Usually, Cable's like the Jedi master of profanity on this podcast when he's on here. So, very good.
And that was after I realized there were kids in there, by the way. So I'm sorry to those families.
it's okay.
And those parents.
Oh, they're gone. It's
Get
fine.
over it. They'll get over it. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, whether it was on purpose or on accident. You've been a great audience. It's always fun to talk about craft beer in a great craft brewery. So I want to thank Heavy Rotation Brewing for having us. Yep. And Josh, again, your expertise through the brew process. I learned so much. The beer turned out fantastic. And thank you all for listening. This has been a One Pint Stand live show. Let's get a cheers, everybody.
Oh, this is bad luck for me.
I know.
Thanks, Josh.
Pretend clink.
There we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
I want to thank Heavy Rotation for partnering with me on the beer collaboration and live show event. Ken and his crew do such a great job of curating really unique events at Heavy Rotation. It's not just like trivia and whatever. They do all sorts of different things. They really tap into their community, and Heavy Rotation is just such a welcoming space. So I want to say how much I appreciate Josh's friendship and willingness to work with me on this beer. I also, Josh is so bright, kind, and fun. He's passionate about beer, and it's infectious. I love chatting with him about the beers that he brews. He has the ability to brew something for everyone, and that very much aligns with my values as a craft beer drinker. The beer turned out better than I could have hoped. I didn't ruin it. So please head over to Heavy Rotation Brewing in Brooklyn Park and give Minnesota Hug a try for yourself. I also want to thank Cable and Mahad for joining us for the show. It's obvious that they both have tremendous perspective and insight on the Minnesota craft beer industry, but they are also great friends, and I loved the energy that they brought to the discussion. It was really generous of them to take time out of their weekend to join us on the panel, and it just really turned out. I was very happy with how the show went. I also want to give a huge thank you, a heartfelt thank you, to so many folks who joined us that day in the audience. There's just something so special about being able to look into the crowd and see friendly faces that really melted my heart. So your support means so much, and I really hope you enjoyed the show. Now, I want to give a special thank you to Brad Ashton, Marcus Dodson, Chuck Dorsey, Vicky Epper, Daniel Fisher, Todd Fitzloff, Laura Fleischfresser, Matt Holton, Cable Lefto, Dave Long, Ben Michaels, Brent Newman, Bree Smith, Jesse Storms, Sarah Cry, Cal Vandehoof, and Brian Wu for being keg stander level supporters of the One Pint Stand Patreon. You've all shown incredible generosity, and I'm grateful for it. Cheers to you all. You might also have noticed a new bit of audio right before the social media plugs. I want to thank the band Quirky for creating a nice little jingle for the podcast. I just love how it turned out, and it adds such a great, unique touch to the show. So thank you so much. I want to give a huge thanks again to the sponsor for this episode, Arbeiter Brewing Company. Gold medal award-winning lagers, a great environment, great people. Folks, they are the creme ale de la creme of the Twin Cities breweries. Check them out at Arbiter Brewing on social channels and on Minnehaha Avenue in South Minneapolis. With that, this has been another episode of A One Pint Stand, a Minnesota craft beer podcast where the pants stay on, but the caps come off. Cheers.
Oh, here's the. So if I can tell Cable's gonna let one fly, I'll just get it. So there I was
My
with
reputation
my and then I said, "Hey, why don't you?" Yeah, we're not. Okay, all right, here we go.